presence is to figure out how to do an ecclesiastical ballot. So, okay, George, Ken, run with it.
Okay, I'll just say 2 sentences. I'm here to try and help transfer the approach that Ken has developed for other mission districts to West Berks. And toward that end, I think one of the things we hope to do today is to record what Ken's going to take us through so that we can offer it again to any of us that want to review it a second time. But more importantly, maybe share it with some of the West Berks Mission District folks who are not here. So with that in mind, Ken, do I need to enable sharing for you, or are you okay?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Let me click the button and see if it says. Nope, it seems like it's going to let me do it. So we should be in good shape. So the actual platform itself is what's called Google Forms. And the nice thing about Google Forms is it's really, really easy to do. It's really, really easy to collect results, and it's free up to 1 million responses. So unless you have 1 million folks who are coming to your mission district, we should all be so lucky. You know, then you'll be in pretty good shape. So rather than sit and try to explain to you, you know, exactly what this is going to look like, I'm a visual person. I'm a person who learns by doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a sample ecclesiastical ballot, doing everybody's favorite icebreaker question of what is your favorite flavor of ice cream. So what I'm going to give you in just a few moments is the same way I'm going to give the form to all those who are present in the Zoom meeting for the mission district. So what I will let people know is, now, to be fair, this is infinitely simpler if you are on a computer. It is a little harder if you're on a tablet. It is a little harder than that if you're on a phone. And the reason being is, what I'm going to give you is going to show up in the chat. All right, it's going to be a short little link. So when it comes time for the vote, whosoever is moderating the meeting can let the folks know that in the chat there is the link to that ballot. When you submit the ballot, so if you're on your computer, you click that link, it'll open another window somewhere on your computer, just as if you're browsing Google or something. You'll see the ballot, you enter that name, you hit submit, it'll say your vote is recorded, you're done. If you're on a tablet, depending on the way you have it set up, it may minimize the Zoom meeting. And if it minimizes the Zoom meeting, you're still in the meeting, but you won't be able to hear it and you won't be heard. So when you finish voting, you'll have to come back to the Zoom app again, okay? I'm assuming folks that are on a phone or a tablet will know how to switch apps. That's the only challenge. Now, if there are folks who are dialing in, now not like you, Dawn, you're at a computer and dialing in, which is a weird, fun thing of Zoom, actually, you know, what you'll need to do is to create in Zoom a breakout room. And that breakout room would consist of everyone who's dialing in plus one other person, it can be me, to get the votes from those who are calling in, because they won't see chat. They won't be able to do that. The only downside is those votes are not anonymous, okay? They have to say, I am voting for blank, and everyone who is in the breakout room will know that, okay? That's the only downfall. The alternative is to not allow call-ins to vote, which I assume is not your way of wanting to do this.
So Ken, I think that's unfortunate, but we could mitigate that by making sure everybody knows that before the night.
Right.
In other words, if you're calling in on a phone, your vote is not going to be anonymous. So,
correct.
I mean, they can, by their acceptance of calling in, kind of agree with that. So.
Right.
And it's semi-anonymous because all that shows up is your phone number.
Correct. Right. So at some point, you know, there will be an announcement to go to the chat. And then what you will see there, if you're in chat right now, is my name, something that says first ballot, and then a link. If you click on that link in whatever you're in, it should open up a ballot for you to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so enter, like I said, we'll do everyone's favorite icebreaker. Your favorite ice cream. If you hate ice cream, just say, I hate ice cream, or I abstain. That's a more Robert's Rules way of putting it, I guess. And then, we'll take a little bit of time, to wait for a vote. How long are you allowing the vote to go on for?
Well, what advice might you have, Ken?
Well, normally, I mean, if you have people on the phone, it's going to take a while anyway. So when I was in Penn Southeast Conference meeting, there were 225 of us. About 30 were on the phone. I'd say every vote took maybe about 10 minutes, just because of that breakout room. The folks voting on computer could do it fairly quickly, fortunately.
Well, we do have time between the votes and the reporting on the vote. So the first nominating ballot would take place at 7:15. The dean election report would be at 7:40, and that would also be the second ballot. And then the third ballot would be at 7:45. Maybe that's not right, because I missed changing some numbers. So we have time scheduled into the assembly so that there's other things happening and giving people time to process the vote.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Yeah, the form I just sent you, that ballot you just took about 25 seconds to set up. So from my end, setting up each additional ballot is very fast. I wasted my life in front of computers, so I type really, really quick. So I'm going to show you what I will end up seeing. So if I share the screen, here's what I see on my end. Okay. Sample ballot. There we go. So this is the one you just voted. And you'll see if I have responses, there's 5 here. So if I click on that, lo and behold, there's your 5 responses. Now, the good news is, now if 3 of you entered vanilla, it would say vanilla and it would say 3 next to it. That would tell me there's 3 votes. Now, that's kind of a moot point, because in an ecclesiastical ballot, and I know this from other votes, let's say it's time for the ecclesiastical ballot, you're voting for a dean, and 4 people vote for Bill Miller, and one person writes Bill Miller, and one person writes William Miller, and one person writes Pastor Miller, and one person writes Reverend Miller. It's going to count it as 4 different things, okay? It can't differentiate, which Miller is the right one. This vote will take a little longer to tabulate, depending on how people vote that first vote. But this is what it will look. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question here? I think the last time we did a dean's election, we had given people a list of the pastors that are under call in our Westburg Commission District who would be eligible to be elected as dean. Would it make sense to have that as a ballot, that those are the pastors that are currently serving in Westburg that could be elected, and then people would just check it off, and then you would have everybody doing the same name? It also helps a lot of people who don't know names of all the pastors.
How many names do you have?
It could probably be 30, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I have to go through to see how many are called and how many are designated. Right. I can do that quickly.
I mean, that's the other option, is if your constitution, like ours up in Hazleton Lehighton, says the same thing, that, you have to be a called active, in a call pastor within the mission district, then yeah, you would have a list to garner from.
And
you could literally
a congregation too, not called to a congregation.
So yeah, I mean, if you don't think 30 is sort of an overkill for just buttons, you could just list the 30 of them, and yeah, just have people check off a name. You just have to decide, probably alphabetically by last, by what order you want to list all of those names.
Right. We could put their name, if you think it's okay, we could put their name and the congregation they're serving. Okay. And that might help people make a connection.
Yeah, if you have that list, if you give me that list, an hour ahead of time, that I can put all that in. That's
I could give you that. Yeah, I can give that to you much farther ahead than that. So, yeah.
You know, that sounds complicated, but I think at the end of the day, it's less complicated than trying to sort out what people write down and
Absolutely.
what they might have meant and everything else. I think, you know, I think
Right.
that does simplify it at the end of the day.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah,
with
I think so
only 30,
too.
that might not be too bad. That might not be too bad. So I'll show you what a multiple choice ballot actually looks like. So multiple choice ballot. Again, you'll
Your
have
favorite
everyone-
gospel, right?
Close. Very close.
Oh.
Very, very close. So if you click on that one, see, I'm asking you to vote for the person, not the gospel.
Oh, fine.
But you're close. You're close.
It was only on your screen for a split second before. Yeah.
Ah, I see now. That's resourceful.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
Okay. So, just like before.
Hey, Ken, let me interrupt. So I voted, and
Mhm.
now I don't see the easy way to get back to where I want to be, back into the meeting.
Just
Um,
shrink
you
your
want-
web page. Minimize your web page.
I just click Chrome.
Mhm.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
yep, thanks.
Perfect. So, on my end, you see how much easier this actually is. So on my end, it's the same thing. You'll see the questions and then responses. But here, if I click response, wow, you're very biased. So that that'll tell you straight out. Tell me there's 3 votes for John, 1 for Mark, and poor Matthew and Luke. They're just too long, I guess. So that'll be easy. If you even with 30 names, now the pie chart will look like an unholy mess. But it will tell you counts for each of them.
And then, so what happens then in the interim, other businesses going on, can you create a ballot with just the names of the people who A, have received votes and B, have not removed themselves?
Yes. So in this case, I can show you really fast. So let's say John and Mark, okay, they go to a second ballot and John's going to go first because he has the most votes. So all we do is go back to Google Forms. We go here to add a blank form.
But John, they won't be able to remove themselves until they see the results of the first
Right,
nominating ballot.
right. But we have time between that and the second, and we'll build the agenda to make sure that's the time. There's some time in between that then.
And in that amount of time, the ballot's done. The ballot's
Yeah.
ready. So all I have to do is to, eliminate link to another response. I'd hit send. There's the link. I can copy that. I can go back into Zoom and put it in. So that's how fast it happens. It does not take a lot, especially if that first ballot for Dean, you have the names already there. It can happen boom, boom, boom very quickly. Other than the